like my cup.
Sure.
It's got the sippy straw in it.
Understood.
We got the signal.
Is it
Tell her
on?
we got the signal.
He's got us on. Hunter's got us on.
Good evening, and welcome to the North Rock School Board meeting. At this time, we are open for public comments. Public comments. Public comments. Thank you. Public comments. If there are no comments, the meeting will come to order. At this time, we will have the invocation and flag salute. The invocation will be by Jacob Bravo. Jacob, come on down, Jacob.
Oop, yep, he's got you right there.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for all that you have done to bless our district. We pray for guidance for our board as they make decisions. Bless this time in your son's name. Amen.
Jacob, would your parents please come down so that they can take a picture with you? Let's give Jacob a hand for a job well done. The principal, he is from Ridge Road, and the principal is Mr. Howe. Come on down, Mr. Howe.
It's okay, Jacob was actually going to read this prayer in Spanish as well.
Okay.
Please.
Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, gracias por todas las bendiciones que haces para el distrito escolar. Oramos para que guíes en la toma de decisiones de esta reunión. Bendice este tiempo en el nombre de tu Hijo. Amén.
Amen.
Very good.
Very good.
Jacob's picking students.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Give him another hand. Great job. At this time, we will have the flag salute from Pikeview Elementary Childhood Center by Miss Marble Sims. She's the Early Childhood Program Coordinator. Here they are. Let's give them a hand as they come
All right.
in. You can stand. Tell them to stand them up. Stand them up here. Could we do not move? Let the parents come up so that they can have a picture with their children. All mothers and principal, Miss Sims, come on.
Yeah, they can stand behind her. They can be in front.
Okay.
Let's give them another hand. Great job. Good job.
Fa, 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 fa.
Public speaking is a skill, and she's working on her public speaking.
Did she say it?
That was too cute.
That's why I was like. Okay. I didn't hear it.
At this time, we will have the mission, vision and mission statement by Ms. McLean.
Our vision statement is world-class schools for world-class students. And our mission statement, the North Little Rock School District and the community will provide for achievement, accountability, acceptance, and the necessary assets in the pursuit of each student's educational success.
Thank you. At this time, Ms. Colquitt, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Williams, Mrs.
Good.
Walker,
Here.
Dr. Reddish,
Here.
Ms. McLean,
Here.
Mrs. Temple,
Here.
Ms. Person West,
Present.
Mr. Still.
Here.
At this time, we will have recognition of people, events, and program by Mr. Dustin Barnes, our communication director, coordinator.
All right, good evening to everyone, board members and community. We're going to first recognize the North Little Rock High School COE chess team. They'll be receiving special recognition tonight. We recognize them for their recent accomplishments, but first we would like to acknowledge the accomplishments they have achieved previously. The competitive chess team and chess club have been greatly benefited by David McPherson, a retired North Little Rock High School special education teacher and the former chess coach. Under Mr. McPherson's previous leadership, our school's competitive chess team won 2 state championships consecutively in 2018 and 2019. Even though Mr. McPherson has retired, he has continued to offer his knowledge to our current chess team and has helped guide the new chess coach. The students and current chess coach are very grateful for Mr. McPherson's passion and dedication to chess and agree that they wouldn't be where they are today without his guidance. Reagan Wenzel, the current chess coach and art teacher at the high school, has been working with the assistance of Benjamin Williams, a COE history teacher, to increase the number of students to participate in the chess club. Together, they found a more suitable location for the after-school chess club practices and have been able to find new players to lead the competitive chess team. Over the past 2 years, the chess club has experienced a large increase in membership, having started with only 4 students and expanding to over 30 active members on the chess club. Although several of the students in the chess club do not play competitively, they have been passionate about playing and improving their skills, acting as positive role models within the student body, and showing their dedication as they meet weekly during the school year and throughout the summer. High school and COE students Owen Weber, Kristen Buford, Andrew Jenkins, and Mason Fitzgerald participated in an open tournament at Bryant High School in December. As a team, these young men won first place against 11 other teams. Since then, the competitive chess team has expanded. Over the past weekend, Owen, Andrew, Mason, and Madison, Kenya, and Dak participated in the AAA Regional Chess Tournament. Together, they placed 4th, and they will be moving on to the state tournament. We would like to offer congratulations to these students who have participated in the chess tournaments and would like to commend the coaches and volunteers who have dedicated their time to these outstanding students. Would the chess team please come forward?
Would the parents please come with them? Or the support staff comes with them. Principal, Dr. St. Louis. Dr. Ms. Woodsnet? We have other support staff? Okay. Congratulations.
Good job, guys. Good job.
Good job.
So you know January is School Board Recognition Month. So again, we want to thank you all for your service to the students, staff, and community of North Little Rock School District. We know that you could be home watching your favorite Netflix show or doing anything other than being here on a Thursday night, on the first and third Thursday nights of the month. So on behalf of everyone in the district, we have some students who have a special message for each of you.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Ryan, for representing Bloom Park. We appreciate you for everything that you do. Thank you. Miss Carson West, you are part of the Henwood family. Thank you for supporting us on the school board. Miss Temple, happy school board recognition month. I love to learn and make sure that happens. And Miss Temple, thank you for making me sure I can learn and I'm strong and smart. Miss McLean, thank you so much. You rock. Thank you so much right here, Lakewood. We appreciate you so much. I need some help with this message, so I called on my friends. On three, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Miss Wonka, the Victory campus is a great school. Thank you for making sure greatness is here. Thank you for all the support you provide us.
Ms. Welcome, there are not enough words for me to say how much we appreciate you and the Sunday Victory campus. Your work does not go unnoticed.
Miss Welcome, I love my school. Thank you for making it a safe place to learn and grow. Thank you. Gracias. Thank you. Thank you. Gamble. Thank you. Gracias. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you. Thank you. Somewhere out bar. Thank you. Thank you.
So as you see, we made it really diverse to show you our the different cultures that we have in our school district. So again, we want to thank you for all that you do for this community and for the students and staff.
That was great.
That was wonderful.
So next will be our superintendent's honor roll. Ms. Crystal Porter, she was recommended by her supervisor, Dr. Leanne Stoll. She said, I wanted to nominate Ms. Crystal Barker, due process designee from my department, for the superintendent's honor roll. Ms. Porter is an example of doing whatever is asked of her without even complaining. She's a seasoned special education teacher with a lifetime teaching license. She has worked in special education for over 30 years. Her primary job responsibilities are to train new teachers on special education paperwork, check paperwork, and she is the due process designee for the academy. During the 2021, 2021-22, and 22-23 school year, we've had several unfortunate occurrences that caused us to be without some of our most volatile classrooms. In the 2021 school year, Ms. Porter went to the middle school and covered our CBI self-contained classroom because of a mid-year resignation. Last school year, she covered a STAR self-contained classroom at Ridge Road Elementary because of another mid-year resignation, and she also provided one-to-one instruction to a student at the academy needing extra interventions. Fast forward to this school year, where we couldn't have find enough special education teachers to be fully staffed. Ms. Porter covered a dyslexia intervention group at the academy for the first couple of months until we found a teacher, and she is currently teaching inclusion English at North Little Rock High School. In an email, Dr. St. Louis, the high school principal, stated the following: I want to shout out Ms. Crystal Porter for an excellent job you're doing here at the high school as a co-teacher with Ms. Gowan and Ms. Murray. You keep the lines of communication open. You are a wonderful asset to the PLCs, and you have established a great connection with our teaching staff. I know this situation was not ideal at the beginning, but we have thoroughly enjoyed having you here with us. Thank you for all that you do. I want to recognize this amazing professional who continues to do the job she was hired to do, as well as anything else asked of her. She never complains or says, I can't do this. She just steps up to the plate and takes on the challenge. We could not have a better employee. I am honored to recommend Crystal Porter for the superintendent's honor roll.
Support staff.
Good evening. After speaking with our January parent North Star, I was excited about all that she had talked about, facilitates, and does through her place of employment. Our recipient is a 2010 graduate of the North Little Rock High School. She has 2 students, 4th grade twins, who attend Amboy Elementary. She works in the Learning and Development Department at her job, and has been watching and participating in the volunteer activities of Little Rock School District. She said to the group, we need to put our resources into the North Little Rock School District as well. We have students that will benefit from our time, our talents, and our resources. Their focus immediately changed and is assisting students in the area of math and financial literacy. Our recipient said, "It is important to start financial learning at an early age. I wish I would have known what I know now." The group will mentor students at Amboy Elementary by way of taking time for them to read to them and support the math and financial learning. When asked, why is education important, she stated, "Education is forever evolving, and we should learn something new every day. If it's a new word, a new way to do something, a new way to teach, or even meeting a new person." Dr. Paluski, Board of Education, North Little Rock staff and community, help me salute our January 2023 Parent North Star, Jade Sanders. Thank you, Miss Sanders.
She have a support. Excuse me, did you have her support staff to come with her? Come up and be with her? Support? Okay.
They go to Amboy. Thank you so much. Ms. Williams, she didn't know why she was here. She just, I told her, listen to what she's doing. January 2022, the North Little Rock District was trying to wrap our minds around the sudden passing of our beloved Dr. Scott A. Tyler. Through God's continued care, we're still here. On this beautiful day, a balloon release was done at the Transportation Department, and we all know this award was named after him, the Great Rising Award. Today, the wind was blowing, hair was blowing, the wind was blowing like the wings of an eagle, flying over all of us. I said, "Dr. Tyler, we know you're here." Today, as we recognize our January 2023 recipient, I'm honored to recognize a group of mentors who are passionate about the whole child. When I spoke with the leader of the group, she said to me, and I quote, "I feel like the Lord put this ministry in front of me. It's our way of serving him, showing his love without having to do it with many details." She also said, "Sometimes we wonder if we are making an impact, but other times we know we are." The group meets with students at Boone Park Elementary Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, allowing the students to read. They help with phonics and focus on comprehension. She says they are motivated to help children face life. The members have been coming over to Boone Park weekly from Pleasant Valley Church of Christ for the past 15 years and still are serving and making a difference. Dr. Paluski, y'all know what to do. Board of Education, North Little Rock staff and community, help me celebrate this year's Great Rising recipient, the Dr. Tyler Great Rising. Salute to the Boone Park Encouragers, led by Betty Hitchcock, Karen Hughes, U.D. McFadden, Linda Smith, and Carolyn Gardner. Please come forward.
We're not booking for that. We're not booking for funerals.
Executive closed session. Executive sessions may be held only for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, discipline, or resignation of an employee, or to discuss matters of pupil punishment if requested by the parent or legal guardian.
You want me to read the rest? I think we should probably read the rest of that new resolution motion considered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We don't have to have a motion, do we?
No, we're just gonna, it's in the next sentence.
Okay. Executive closed session for North Rock Policy 114 stating that private or closed discussion by the board may occur as part of a regular or special school meeting. Executive sessions may be held only for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotions, discipline, or resignation of an employee, or to discuss matters of pupil punishment if requested by the parent. No resolution, agreement, or motion considered in executive session shall be legally binding unless the board reconvenes in public session and presents the item for a vote of the membership. So,
We'll probably just read that last part further.
further, Arkansas Code Title 25, Chapter 19, Section 106, 2C, 1 states, the specific purpose of the executive session shall be announced in public before going into executive session.
We're going into
We are going into executive session.
I think much of You can bring us back or wait on Dorothy? Wait on Dorothy? I'm fine with that. I apologize. I did that.
We have now resumed. Note from executive session, no action was taken. Okay, what's the next thing?
8.1.
Okay, board members' involvements. Ms. West? Where you been?
Yes, ma'am. I jumped on 110, jumped on the virtual academy for a little bit. I'm excited about a lot of the good things coming down from that. And we had a great luncheon at Ridge Road Elementary with some of the students, and enjoyed looking around at their school and all they had to offer children. And our ambassadors were a good group, and Ms. Newbern was the one that did all their shirts. They were really cute and they all matched. 116 various MLK Day activities. And then this week I had an opportunity to work over at the 8th Street Baptist Church for getting their diaper closet in order and organized. That's it. How much, Lachey?
Okay.
We went to Ridge Road this month. It was great. Thank you, Ridge Road, for the thank you notes. I have to give a shout out to they're called Ridge Road My Voice Matters. We had Allison, Cadence, Lillian, Amelia, Nasiah, Finesse, Emmanuel, Faith, Kaylin, and Larissa. Thank you.
I too was involved in the Ridge Road lunch, so it was great.
Me too. Thank you for having said all their names, because they were all just as sweet and cute as they could be, and they did a fantastic job of leading us around the school.
Yes, Ridge Road was very, very up to par. The student leaders. I love their T-shirts.
Yes.
Our voice.
Yes.
Students, we have a voice.
Yes.
Very nice. Okay, Dr. Pulaski.
Madam Superintendent, members of the board, I'm going to go very quickly. On January 3rd, we had our Superintendent's Parent Advisory meeting, which is always good to get feedback from our parents. Attended instructional rounds at Ridge Road Elementary School on the 4th. We had the AAEA Superintendent Symposium that I had the opportunity to attend on the 10th and the 11th. We had a Ridge Road school visit, which was wonderful. Also on the 11th, I did have the opportunity to attend a Wildcat Foundation meeting at the Justice Center Community Building, which was great. We had on the 12th the Superintendent's Student Advisory, in which we started to tackle school lunches. So we had a great conversation with our students. In fact, next month we're going to do some sampling. So it's been a big topic of discussion. I met with the Academies of Central Arkansas and the Little Rock Chamber this week. Dr. Hooper and I also had the opportunity to visit. We're now members of the Arkansas Chamber of Commerce, and they had a legislative reception in which we attended. And as was mentioned today, many of us were down at Transportation and had the balloon launch in recognition of Dr. Scott Tyler, and recognizing him and how much we miss him. And just want to, as Ms. Barker recognized him today, we miss him.
Okay, thank you,
Yes,
Dr.
ma'am.
Pulaski. At this time, we will have the CPPC monthly report, LPPC, because the Classified Personnel Policy Committee did not have a report. So, anyone here? Come on down.
Printer issues today.
No worries.
Digital, we'll say it's going green.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Board, Madam President. Appreciate you guys having me tonight. So I have our report from LPPC. We have had 2 meetings. One of them, or both of them were in December, so I'll stop mumbling and just pull that up. So the first was from our regular December meeting, which was December 5th. Of course, the major item that was on that agenda was the calendar.
Right.
So that was when we were preparing the calendar survey, taking the rest of our feedback into consideration and trying to get that prepared to go out to our staff. That did go out to staff. In December, we got all of that feedback before we broke for Christmas break, for winter break. Also on that agenda, we approved our November minutes, which we've already presented to the board. We looked through board docs. So I think we have now made all of the notes on all of the changes that needed to be made, and all of our license policies are ready to be put onto board docs. We had the actual calendar survey, looked over it, made sure that that was ready to go out, and set up our special meeting for the Friday that we got out for Christmas break. So that would have been the last time we spoke to you guys, would have been that Thursday, and then we met that Friday to go over the results of the survey. At that December 5th meeting, we also talked about raises and bonuses, just to start that conversation for the year. We know that there is some funding from the state that's going to need to be distributed, so we started talking about that, and some other general raise and bonus items. We've talked a little bit more about that since then. We talked about so that the state funding for salaries, and then we also talked about our stipend committee, and began putting that committee together and setting up the times and dates that they were going to meet and who would be a part of that committee. So that was December 5th, our regular meeting. And then we had a virtual meeting Friday, December 16th, right before we left for break, to discuss the feedback from the calendar survey that had gone out to staff. Based on the results of that, the calendars that were the most popular with staff were the 2 traditional calendars. And the feedback that we got on that survey was related to other calendar options that we had not presented. There were a lot of questions asked about why a 4-day calendar wasn't presented, because when we had originally gotten feedback from staff about what sort of calendar they would like to see, this was in 21-22 school year, there was an overwhelming desire to have a 4-day calendar. And there were also questions about an hourly calendar and why we had not presented an hourly calendar as other districts that are comparable in size had been using even this year. And based on the feedback that we had gotten on that particular survey, as you guys know, we paused a bit on sending that out to the community so that the board could have some more information, and so that we could get some clarity on how to answer questions, and make sure everyone was in agreement on moving forward with the calendar options for the year. And the only other item we talked about on the 16th was just our final approval for board docs, that all of those items were were ready and had all been sent so that those changes could be made. So that was our last two meetings that we've had those minutes approved.
Okay. Ms. McLean?
Any questions?
Can we ask questions about the calendar itself, the two options that went out to the
Yes,
parents?
I was hoping you would.
Because I was wondering how, on the early releases, how the buses are going to run on that.
Well, so we just started to get some feedback from our parents. I've got a couple of those emails as well. And I think if it's okay with the board, as we're getting those, we'll prepare all those questions for our formal presentation to you, which will include the feedback from LPPC and CPPC, the parent feedback, and some of the big parent questions, because I think, as well as staff, have a variety of questions. If that's okay with the board, that we field all those on that particular night, so we can share it all at one time and make it public.
Okay, that sounds like a great plan. I like it.
Okay. Other questions, Ms.?
I'm all set. I read it. Thank you. Thank you for doing your due diligence.
Okay.
Introduce yourself.
I'm so sorry. Obviously, I'm not Justin Kopp.
Okay.
So I'm Brandy Hanson, co-chair, LPPC.
Okay. Dr. Reddick?
Just one, do we have a timeline of when we will know what the results were from the calendars?
I am not certain. Mr. Smith prepared that calendar survey and sent that out, so I'm not exactly certain on what the timeline is for that.
Sure, I believe that we were going to run it through the beginning of next week.
Okay.
I think we've had somewhere as of today, I don't know, 500-600 parents that have participated. So we'll that's, which is why this is the first time we've ever done seeking public comment from our community on our calendar, which is, I think, is a good thing. And then we want to bring all that back to you and share the comments and concerns or with the board.
Thank you. Ms. Temple?
Well, that just makes me wonder, what is the deadline for approving the calendar? Each year we have a deadline. I don't remember what it is that it has to be approved by.
You know, usually, I don't know if there's a specific date. If Mr. Smith was here, but I know, you know, usually it's in this kind of time frame of, you know, February to March. I can't recall off the top of my head, but I can get that information if there's a specific date. I just don't recall one off the top of my head.
Okay.
But we want to be able to bring this to you at our next workshop meeting for the information, so that you have time to digest and then to be able to approve the calendar at the February regular board meeting.
Ms. West?
I don't have any questions. I just want to encourage parents, if you're watching, listening, to make sure that your voice and opinion is given, and you just don't ignore it. We are reaching out for your honest opinion.
I don't know if it's appropriate at this time for me to sort of step into that, but there is not a place on the survey for comments. It's merely a vote. And so all of the feedback that we are getting is going to be parents that are teachers or parents contacting teachers or perhaps board members. So it's, that might be something to take, that we can all take into consideration for next time if we are asking the community for their input, that we provide a
Comment box.
a place for them to provide more input than just voting.
Very good.
Okay.
Good idea.
Okay. I have 3 questions.
Yes, ma'am.
I was very interested in it, and I would really like to see Mr. Jacob Smith fire it up about semester ending before January.
Okay.
High schools,
Yes.
it's very important that colleges, any kid that want a scholarship for a college, they be looking for some grades so that maybe they can get in at when they graduate.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
would you all please work on that with Mr. Smith?
I will, I should have
I
mentioned
know,
that, but
I
it was on
got
our
you.
minutes. Did you?
I read
Okay,
your thing, that's why I'm just firing up, telling you it's a good idea.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, the next thing is I like the number 2 calendar because the teachers get a break. If they can just get one break in the middle of the week, that would help them as far as being able to process energize and work on their staff development, whatever they need to do to help them, you know, since we're trying to move our children forward. And I did read the questions down there. You all know that we too large to be talking about doing a 4-day, okay? Those were some good questions you all had.
Yes.
That was kind of sweet.
hourly.
And also, while I'm glad you adopted the committee adopted the board docs. So that's all. I'm making a statement, 2 statements. Work on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
And I want our students to be able to graduate, and I'm sure that Mr. Smith will work with you all, everything. And the high schools really need that. So we can't have our high schools on the same schedule as elementary schools, 2 separate entities. And it's gonna really, I know it's gonna take some time, but Mr. Smith will work it with you all, okay?
Yes.
And thank you, very good report.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. And that was one change between when the survey went out to staff and the survey that we sent out to community yesterday, is that we did shift the break. We shifted Christmas break. And it was a resounding agreement in the committee that it just did not work the way that we anticipated it would work. So both of the calendar options now have semester ending in December, and we're coming back January 8th.
Yeah.
I
I know
have-
that the dates and everything gotta be, Miss.
I do have another question. You brought up about the 4-day calendar, and it was in here, and says does not work with our size. I remember when Mr. Smith presented and was telling us about some of the other schools, that they were generally small schools, and so we had kind of asked, are there some bigger schools that we can look at? So I'm assuming the conclusion was that.
Ma'am, we have not found another big district on a 4-day week.
And then what about the hourly calendar? Apparently, these are things that the teachers were asking, right?
Yes, ma'am. From the conversation I had at the LPPC meeting and the CPPC meeting, the kind of deterrent and the reason we steered away from the hourly calendar was because it, number one, does away with the AMI option. There was kind of a resurgence, I guess would be the way to say that. After the 2 options came out and went out to vote, there was a lot of push for why we didn't go to an hourly calendar. But the feedback I also received from the board whenever we had the 4 calendar option discussion was that the board really did not have a taste for having less student contact days until our test scores went up. And then we might have that conversation about student contact time as far as days were concerned. But that was the feedback I gave to the LPPC and CPPC, and that's why that was the rationale I gathered as far as why we chose the options we did.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there other
There's
questions?
a lot of information here, and it looks like y'all spent a lot of time trying to get this together and get it out to the employees so that they could vote. I wish there had been a larger return.
Always.
Yes, but
and
awesome.
Just so that you all are well informed, we are hoping to go ahead and start the 24-25 school year calendar discussion now, and possibly have a tentative calendar for that next school year before the end of this school year, so that we can get that feedback from the community, take the things that we've learned, and hopefully work with you guys and develop a calendar that better meets the needs that community and staff have very clearly stated. So.
I think the addition of the comments when it gets sent to the parents so that they can add in some comments, it makes it easier for them than trying to contact people on a phone or even emailing. So that'd be a nice addition. So I like that suggestion.
Okay. Are there other questions? Thank you. Are you through?
That's all I have, if that's all you have for me. Thank you very much for your time.
And thank you. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
All right. You next, Dr.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, our first information item is our first quarter discipline and attendance. As you recall, when we had our first NWA, we came with the academic data after somewhere in October, and then our goal has been to come and discuss with you what we're learning as it relates to our discipline and our attendance. And I welcome our two colleagues that represent the Office of School Performance, Ms. Lightfoot, our Executive Director of Elementary School Performance, and Mrs. Amy Jordan. You often see one, you often see the other.
Okay, we don't, they're morphing
Ms.
into
Jordan,
each
the
other.
Executive Director of Secondary School Performance, and I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues to give a high-level overview of what we're learning.
Good evening, Madam President and esteemed board, and Dr. Paluski. The Office of School Performance is here to present our first and second quarter student discipline and attendance. I am Tracy Lightfoot, Executive Director of Elementary Schools.
And Amy Jordan, the Executive Director of the Secondary School Performance.
The purpose of our presentation tonight is to provide a snapshot of the district's 22-23 discipline and attendance trends from kindergarten to 12th grade for first and second quarter. We'll provide a brief overview of our district support for all schools, and if there is any other more detailed information you would like, we would be happy to include it in our board report for next week. For elementary schools, this is an overview of our trends for discipline infractions for our elementary campuses. What you will find is there are about 4 schools that the discipline actually is data is quite low, and then it appears to be a lot higher in Boone Park, Crestwood, Glenview, and 7th Street. But in an overall look at those trends and comparing it to last year, it actually is a reduction in our discipline infraction in our schools. Now you will also notice too, the schools with the highest, with the exception of Crestwood, are in very active communities, and they're increasing. It's a increasing activity of violence in the communities, and we know those are under-resourced communities that have a lot more trauma-induced situations in our students that are in those schools. So we take a look at Amboy, and what you will find is disorderly conduct and fighting seem to be the largest numbers that you see there. But when you look at that closely, those numbers of students, even though this is reported amongst the other infractions, is really the numbers aren't very big at all. But fighting really has been an issue there, but it has been through the semester has been reducing as well. Boone Park, fighting also is a big issue, and their school data was very large the past year. Still fighting started the school year with quite a few incidents, but we started to see a turn by the end of October, mid-November. Just spoke with the principal today. They came into the building and said that he's really has seen a sharp turn based on some things that we put into place at Boone Park and some systems around students being able to come peacefully to resolve conflict and to be able to self-regulate their emotions. Crestwood, disorderly conduct and disruptive behavior, again, then those are the ones that are high. In this case, those numbers, again, you see that they're 50 and under, is those students really come from just a segment of the population. It's 19 students. That is repeated behavior. So we have quite a few students in our ALE programming, and so those behaviors come from there. But they really have been working collaboratively with their teams to kind of work with behavior plans and putting some things in place for their social and emotional needs. Glenview, these are their discipline numbers, and it is all basically in disruptive behavior. Disruptive behavior is found really in classroom management. It's really something that happens from decisions that are made, and really that skills from teachers. Sometimes new teachers struggle with management skills, but they're also engaged in a PBIS, which all of our schools are engaged in, and I think that will help an assertive discipline piece that starts at the classroom level. Indian Hills, There's also is in disorderly conduct, but there's is opposite. There's the infractions that are happening in common areas, cafeteria, children moving about. So that's a different type of look as far as what we're doing with those, but those numbers are relatively low. Lakewood, disruptive behavior as well, and they have a new principal, and there has been some turnover there, but their numbers really, they deal with most things in-house. It's not a lot of out-of-school suspensions there. Meadow Park is one that we just want to highlight, is a school that has embraced our PBIS programming as a school-wide effort. They have done a lot of work intentionally, even summer PD. So their exact numbers last year, I think, was 309 discipline infractions. They are down to 41, was their reporting on their instructions round.
Get up to Meadow Park.
Shout out Meadow Park.
And then this is Ridge Road, which is disruptive behavior and disorderly conduct. Again, there are many what we call frequent flyers. There is a group of cohort students that are the repeated students that have a little bit more needs, and that we've been working with some programming for their SEL needs and certain things that we can even do to support them from the classroom by engaging behavior contracts and the personnel more efficiently, like our counselors and our social workers that are in the school. 7th Street. 7th Street, if you notice in their data, is very comparable to, I would say, Glenview. However, most of their infractions is dealt with is a conference with the student and their return to class. So that's important because we're not really going anywhere. We're suspending students and they're out of school, and then we're trying to address those students in class and in school. So for our elementary causes and for these incidents and our next steps, or where we are in our current state, is that our causes are home environment, anger, depression. Many of our students are students of trauma. In our communities, that is an under-resourced neighborhood. We know that that is what it is. But it is our charge, it is our concern, but it is also our problem to solve. So we are intentionally moving in with increased response to intervention strategies when we acknowledge and see that there's repeated behaviors and that we need to address them assertively. And that is a whole school process as far as our PBIS systems. And that is the focus is to solve problems before they begin. So we want to prevent them. And at the core of that, when we have engaging lessons and when we are, children want to come to school, that's for attendance and discipline, then you have reduced discipline infractions because they're engaging in the learning in a very different way.
Okay, and I'll speak to you a little bit about secondary. I do want you to notice on this chart, we did break out the academy. So we only have 5 campuses, but we did break them out into their grade cohorts. So the numbers that you see there are reflective of the students who are actually currently at the academy. Of course, you see the highest number is at the 7th and 8th grade campus, and I will speak to the fact that we have supported, that's a new principal with Ms. Hampton, and we've been there a number of times to kind of work through some logistics, things that we're putting in place. They are also working with the PBIS, the Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports, and they are also going to be putting into place a couple of deans of discipline, so they're going to be adding some personnel, kind of reusing their title money to help that resource. And I will tell you, though, these numbers are high. To second what Ms. Lightfoot said, they're lower than they were a year ago. And I know that's hard to believe sometimes when you look at that, but it is true. And it's been something that we've studied across the months that we've been in school. So I am proud of that fact. So you'll see similar charts here with each campus, and you can see what the outlying infractions are. So at grade 6, you see the primary ones here are disruptive behavior, fighting, and then classroom rule infractions. With grade 7, 8, by far the largest is the classroom rule infractions, and that's another piece, as Ms. Lightfoot mentioned, about classroom management and training. There is a lot of new staff on that campus, so there's a lot of that calibration to what can be managed in the classroom, what is it that we can train on as classroom teachers to help prevent some of those being turned into infractions. Center of Excellence, and just to point out, I know these charts, I'm just going to kind of flick back and forth. Oh, they look similar, but please note the bars and the numbers that are actually at the end. So they are very different. Center of Excellence is a smaller campus, but you'll see as we shift into the high school grades, the behaviors change. The ones that you see most outlined here are leaving designated area or possession of cell phone. And there was a big change in the handbook between last school year and this school year, and I want to commend Mr. Logan, who is our new Director of Student-Centered Services, who is going to be helping us kind of work through some of that. It's pretty confining in regard to the infractions with cell phones and the things that we're supposed to do. So we're going to try to work to try to make that look a little bit different as we move into next school year. But lots of discipline infractions for that, and I'm sure we all understand that with teenagers. High school, you will see a very similar pattern. The highest ones there have to do with possession of cell phone, and then the next one is tardies, and then after that is being out of location. So while these are not things that we want students to do, I would like to point out that of these campuses, these are not violent infractions. They are not being where you're supposed to be or being on your device. And those are things that we're going to continue to work on at the secondary level to keep students engaged. Because if you have engagement, if you have students who want to be in those classrooms, learning those things that are going on, they want to be at school, they want to be on time, and they don't want to be looking at their phone, hopefully. So we're going to work on those pieces as we move through. That's why performance is talking about these pieces. And then again, 6th grade is this is academy only. And I do just want to point out that we're not really able to delineate here whether these incidences cause the students to go to the academy or they happen at the academy. I can tell you that Mr. Williams has had very few discipline infractions this year at all in general. And so I'm very proud of that fact. So some of these instances that you're seeing are actually the incident that put the student at the academy, that happened at their home campus versus at that campus. So that's grade 6, the 7th and 8th grade cohort. And then the high school age students who are there, whether they're from COE or high school campus. And these slides here, just for time, I'm going to move kind of quickly. They're very similar, but it's also very similar to elementary. Obviously, bigger kids sometimes have bigger concerns, but we're also working in the same way in regard to training that we're doing for teachers, supports that we're putting in the buildings, in the classrooms, the PBIS systems that we have, the social emotional learning, conflict resolution, self-regulation, all of those things, mentorships, small groups. We could go on and on. We could do a whole other presentation on things that we're doing to help with these things, but we do want you to know that those are all a part of what we're doing to try to help our kiddos in terms of their discipline.
So we're moving now to the attendance trends. And first we start with elementary school. And I'm going to move through these slides pretty quickly, but I would like to show you through Amboy. And that is the blue bars represent your attendance in our schools, our brick and mortar schools, and the red bars are for the virtual schools. Students. So Amboy has students in 1st, 4th, and 5th that are virtual students, but you see their attendance is high, and that's important because we track that, we monitor that. It has been a goal of the Office of Performances that we want our children in school, and if they are not, then we're watching and tracking to make sure they are attending and they're engaging in their virtual setting. Now, our overall goal, I think, is something to celebrate, that we want it to be at least, as a baseline, is 90%. We want all of our schools at least at 90%. We want to move to about 94, but 90% is a great place to start. It has been a climb coming back from the pandemic and COVID-19. It is to retrain our community and understand it's important to be in school every day, and winners get to school on time. Boone Park, they have students in virtual school in most grade levels. However, if you notice, in all of them, that we're over the 90%. If there is an outlier, you will find that in most campuses it will exist at the kindergarten level. We're trying to get our parents to cooperate with us. Our itty bitties need to be there too every day. And sometimes, they get, ill and they get sick and they're concerned with it. We do have a student in second grade, and when we see data that falls in this area, then we're having conversations. Then is this the right setting for the student? And think it's time that it's come back. And so that Dr. Reynolds is very good with keeping us in information. We meet together with the parent and discuss next steps. Glenview doesn't have any virtual students, and again, everything is at 90 and above, except for kindergarten. Indian Hills has 2 students there, and that's a conversation as far as kindergarten. How effective is a kindergartner going to be in a virtual learning experience? And so we'd like to move that to a blue bar only. Lakewood, we have 3 students in virtual. They are staying with it, and everything there is above 90 plus. They're moving closer to the goal of a 93-94% is our target for attendance. And then Meadow Park's virtual students, they almost in every grade level, and they are well above that. They have struggled in the past with attendance and tardies. This is a very positive report this year, and just to struggle in first grade, we're right 89, and they're on top of that to move that forward. Their PEP is going to lead with some work. We'd like to collaborate as some incentive, or I guess a system within our district to collaborate among PEPs so that they can come up with not only RTI, but it's RTA, a response to attendance. What kind of things are we doing that is incentivizing and encouraging? And attendance will help our students to be to school and be there on time if we are in school every day. And 7th Street has fallen beneath those things, and we're working fallen beneath the goals of 90%, and we're working prescriptively with 7th Street to do some things to encourage school attendance.
And secondary, also, you have 6th grade here. And of course, the numbers in virtual are a little bit higher at the secondary level. For elementary, some of those are single-digit students in those grade bands. But here, they tend to be more in the teens, 20s, maybe even 30s or 40s as you get up into the upper grades. So those are the attendance numbers at grade 6, and same thing at secondary. If students are not being successful in the virtual setting, semester ends tomorrow, then we will be having those conversations with those students come back on campus. 7th and 8th grade data, also right at the marker we would like. Center of Excellence, above in every category. High school, very similar to at 90 with 12th grade. It kind of works the other end of the spectrum as well, right? Your itty bitties may have a hard time getting there, and so do your great bigs. So we're working on making sure that those students are where they're supposed to be and attending school like they should. And then, of course, Ms. Lightfoot and I are working hard. We've already kind of mentioned most of this to you, so if you have any questions, we would be glad to take those. The key, we think, is the teaching and learning, because if we have those things like they're supposed to be, then these things will help take care of themselves a little bit more.
Do you have any questions of us at this time in regard to any discipline trends?
I do, if you don't mind. I'm assuming the difference between fighting and battery. Fighting is amongst the students, and the battery is a student against an adult. What is the difference there? How do we know? That's what we don't know. Yeah, I hear.
Mr. Williams, you can speak to that a little bit more
Or
clearly.
Tell
her
me the
Sergeant
difference.
Sims.
One got a
Come on
charge,
up.
one didn't. I mean, what's the difference?
Come on up, Mr. Williams.
Come to this microphone.
He was
Come
just
on.
going to try to spread the word, but
Somebody help me.
So fighting is when you have students who engage in physical activity that is fighting.
Okay.
So an assault would be a student who just attack a kid, and the other kid doesn't fight back or anything.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and that assault could be spitting on someone or anything like that.
Oh, okay. And then what is the difference between disruptive behavior and disorderly conduct? I saw those numbers were pretty good. So how do we decide what's what and who's who there?
I think that this is as a baseline, disruptive behavior really is it's like a classroom base. It's starting originating in the classroom.
Okay.
And many times is that those numbers are so high because it's management. And we have a lot of new teachers.
Okay.
And that is a piece that they navigate, with. But when you start getting to repeated pieces, then it goes into that disruptive behavior. I also want to speak to that question that you had for the fighting. We are kind of looking a little closer at that data because the coding may fall into it because there's nothing else that's appropriate, or what in individual schools that they classify it. But it could be a gesture. They're arguing. They're very it's aggressive, but they're not necessarily
Throwing hands.
fighting. And so we really want to get into that a little bit deeper with our schools as far as how we're actually identifying it, and as far as our discipline reporting, and how we're dealing with it when it's occurring, if that makes sense.
Yes, it
Then,
does.
let's make your mind about just.
Oh,
Ms. Shorty.
absolutely.
The disruption exactly is the classroom situation, but when a student become out of order, where they disturb the school environment, then that's a disorderly conduct situation.
Okay, thank you, because I saw that on there and I was like, okay, how do we decipher?
Right. It's a good
Okay,
question.
Very good. Also, just for clarification, so we are hitting on attendance so hard because that's an overall grade
Yes, it
that
is.
helps us within our district. So our district grade, A, B, C, D,
That's
F.
right.
The attendance is part of that grade. So that's why we are so adamant on getting our babies here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
For
ma'am.
clarification.
That's in the school quality index, which is what the percentage is of chronic absenteeism, which is what we're monitoring about, where we get the percentage.
Very good.
If I could just jump in, Ms. Lightfoot and Ms. Jordan, can you help certainly the audience and tie together for everyone the value and importance of instructional planning that ties directly into high quality instruction, which gets in less to the management, classroom management, but more into the engagement, as we're having a large conversation about having some early release once a week, and we want to focus on teacher planning. If you just very briefly about making that correlation and connection on the importance of instructional planning as it ties into this data.
Right, so that makes the point then, of course, for that calendar we talked about with the early release. If you have better planning, right, it's just like anything, the better planned you are, then the better you're going to execute whatever the plan may be. And the case is true for teaching a class. So if you've got an instructional time that you need with students, you need time to plan for that. So we know that the more effective our planning is, the more effective our teaching is, the more effective the students are engaged. We've got that going on. It's going to be one of those positive cycles. So rather than a catch-22 downward spiral, it's going to actually spiral the other direction.
So the connection to, for example, instructional rounds is the observation data that we see. And what we've collected is that maximizing instructional time has been a deficit and what we want to work at. And that is, in essence, the pace of the lesson. It's moving too slow, that we need to accelerate the pace, that we get from the beginning, from the anticipatory set to a closure, and it's moving quickly, and this engagement of small group where children get the teacher in front of them and they have active engagement activities. And that's where we want to look and focus up all the way to 12th grade. When we do that, then students want to be engaged with it, and then it's much more efficient, and then we're able to even move through our pacing to get all standards taught to the end. So when you're doing that and the teacher is prepared, she's also less frustrated. You don't have to engage as many, put the PBIS strategies that are in place to encourage, incentivize, and that is a big piece. You might have noticed when you're attending your board luncheons at our schools, do you feel something different, a culture in the buildings? When it's a climate and you feel it, you may not see it, but that's the part that's important. That says things are important. When you don't hear a lot of elevated voices and children, you hear learning, you hear it's a peaceful place. So that's what our goal is that you not only see it, you feel it, and that investment in that instructional time is so important. and that it takes time for everyone to see the value in it, but it makes a big difference in the end product during the day.
Were there other, Ms. West?
You were talking about disruption in the classroom because teachers need more support on how to do that. Are you collecting the data on which teachers need that support with this process?
Yes, ma'am. We do have it down to that level, yes.
And then on that virtual, the attendance, and you're saying if their attendance is low, then they're not going to be successful. I'm just because I'm curious. I mean, is it only on attendance, or are we looking at what they're doing as well, or?
It's both.
It's both.
But they often correlate.
Okay.
It's not very often that a student is not attending like they should online and doing well academically. It tends to go together. So we're evaluating those holistically, those students who are still virtual.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you.
Going back to the Crestwood Elementary attendance slide, I noticed that the in-person, of course, they're meeting their threshold, and and it could be that it's just that one student that's enrolled in virtual, but, and I know you mentioned, or someone mentioned, that semester is ending soon. So with that being said, I'm sure that particular student will be, or students will be coming back to class.
Those are conversations that we will have. When we see this data, if this student is not back in school now, which I think, I just can't confirm it, that's, when we see that, we have, and usually Brooke Reynolds will tickle us.
Yeah.
Is that we've got attendance that's falling low, and then we set up and we collaborate with a parent meeting.
So taking that a step further, how have you noticed that your parent meetings have been going? Have parents been receptive to, listening to what what you have to say about their child, as far as whether it's discipline issues or whether it's attendance or getting to school on time? Have you noticed that you've had good parental support?
It depends on certain things, and it depends on the community. For example, Crestwood's data is very similar to some of our schools in under-resourced community, but they are absent for other reasons. They travel, they leave, they go on vacation. There's another reason why. So it's going to be a challenge there based on the choices of the family, just as it is a challenge as far as in our communities is what they see warrants as valid reasons that their children are not attending school. And usually, many times, if it is one school, if they have several siblings, one is out, all of them are out. So that makes a difference as well. Yes.
Right. Okay. I think that's all the question that I just kind of had on that, just to make sure that those meetings you feel like you're getting good support as it relates to mom and dad or guardian. Now, let me ask you this: if they're enrolled virtually, say like in the high school, and then or either in person, and they have the grade component, but necessarily the attendance part is not where it should be. How does that work as far as their graduation requirements?
So attendance is a piece of the earning the credit for the course. So you might have a really strong grade, but you have to attend a certain percentage to receive the credit. Those do impact graduation rates.
Okay.
And in regard to your question prior to that, there are some challenges when we have parent meetings. They aren't always cherry blossoms, and there's not always welcome, for some of the recommendations. Many times they're very committed to virtual instruction, even though the data says that their child is not necessarily progressing. But we still need to engage in it. We're a partnership, we're a community, and we still keep those conversations going, that's the best thing that we believe is for the student.
Do you feel you have all your resources? You feel like you have what you need?
Absolutely.
Okay. Mr. Williams, good job. Commend you on your discipline as far as at the academy. And also Meadow Park, that's amazing. That's all I had.
Is that all, Ms. West?
Yes, ma'am. That will be all for now.
Ms. Valerie?
I really love the graph that shows the consequences for the discipline infractions. I noticed that the high school or the secondary, it doesn't have those in there, but I really like seeing that, what's happening in those instances. Also, refresh me, PBIS.
Absolutely. Positive
and is it-
behavioral
how is-
supports and interventions
How
and
it's different
support.
from RTI.
Yes, ma'am. That's a great point. So, RTI stands for a response to intervention. So, you notice something about a student, could be academic or behavioral, and we need to respond to it. So we need to do something. Often it's a committee meeting, or we're coming together as a team in the school to determine it. So the student may be, they may be failing classes, or they may not be progressing in their reading. So we have to respond to that by law. We now are required to do those kinds of things. Primarily it's academic, but it can be behavioral. So then we may determine as a committee the student needs a behavior plan, or they may need additional supports. They may need wraparound services like counseling from outside of school or something like that. PBIS is simply a system of rewarding positive behavior. So instead of consequence heavy, it's positive enforcement of behavior. So they can earn, a lot of schools are using a token system. There's some kind of token economy, or they can earn either bucks or points or something like that, or they get some kind of stamp or, token. They get something that they can then spend, and so different things earn those. Often it has an economy based on it, but it has to do with encouraging the positive behavior, not just giving consequences to negative behavior.
Okay, thank you. On some of these, at the different schools, there were assault, battery on staff, and I know that we just have zero tolerance for that. I'm hoping that when we see these, is this the first quarter or the first?
It's first semester.
It's just all first semester. Will we see this again in second semester? And see, I'm hoping that that we will see. I would like to see zero. I don't want to even see that on
I would agree.
the list.
Yes, ma'am.
There, but thank you for this information, and now we have something that we can definitely look at and compare to next semester, and then first semester next year.
Absolutely.
So
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate that very, very much. Thank you.
Very good. Are there, Dr. Redis?
First of all, ladies, gentlemen, you're doing a phenomenal job. Thank you for all that you do when with the students. My question is, going back to talking with the parents or whatever, and there are some that I don't care. I just want my child to be virtual. Is there a consequence if they don't bring them back and we already know that they're failing?
So that's really just now becoming a topic that we might have to broach, because we visited it at 9 weeks, and anyone who was very, very adamant at 9 weeks, we tried to give them a second chance for the second 9 weeks, and that's just now finishing. So we would anticipate if that's happening, it's going to be coming up in just the next few days as the semester ends. So we'll each one would be addressed individually to see, because what we don't want is for someone to say, well, then I'll just homeschool. Or I'll just change districts. We don't want that to be the case. We want to try to help them be successful. So what the game plan would be like a response to intervention. We would then determine what responses can we give, what more supports can we give. Are we having trouble schedule-wise? Is it because of internet access? Is it something they need to come on campus once a week and check in person? We'll work to try to find out what those things can be that would help that student be successful.
And lastly, just one of the things that I've observed that I happen to know, because I have teen grandchildren, when it comes to social media, is there a way, back in my day, like we couldn't even get on Facebook if
That
we
was a
were on
long
the
time
school.
ago.
Yes, it was a long time. But we couldn't even get, as an employee, we couldn't even get on Facebook if we were at a school. TikTok. They TikTok all day long, and that's an issue. That's a big social media piece. If there was a way that you couldn't access TikTok when you at school,
Hunter Nannon.
That's my man. That's
Now,
my man.
if they're on data and not on wireless, we can't control that piece.
Gotcha.
So that's the difference. Is are they on our wireless or are they on data? So
Gotcha.
I know, I had to learn that the hard way
That-
too. I
But
would love to
still.
shut everything down, just shut it all down, but yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Did you answer?
No dancing in the hall.
Oh, I would just like to ask a statement, make a statement. We've been to 9 schools, okay? And when we've gone to these 9 schools, there's a police officer at the front desk. Very good. Teachers got the doors locked. Couldn't we find some places? They still got the windows covered. And to me, I feel it's a disruption if we could just look up here. Why they have, and by the way, they're following your instructions. You can see the kids' lesson everywhere. But to me, it has come to my concern, one of my colleagues, why are you still covering your windows up? Anything could be going on. At least we wouldn't have to disturb you when we come to your building if we maybe just want to look in. But every window covered is like the old day. The police officer's at the front door now. You still keep your door locked, and that's good. But why you still got covered up? Like what's going on? I would feel more comfortable if when I come into the buildings, but look, I'm caved in, I can't see into a classroom. I can't look into a classroom rather than disturb, because every classroom we go to, most of them, you can't peep in. Know why? They're covered. So, not all, but the majority. And I think that was a concern. I don't know if this had something to do with Mr. Finks, Dr. Pulaski, that they're scared of what. But you understand that what are you doing now that we can't look into your classroom? That's my question.
I understand that question, and that's also a concern that we do have, because windows should be free. That we see in our students, so they're locked in safely, we should see in. In this particular campus, it should be nothing covered on those windows today.
Okay. I've just had, and this Temple, that was concerned too, that I know that, was there anything else on that line? Because she had noticed this, you know what I'm saying?
That was just, just something I observed. It's, if you can't walk down and see anything, there's no point to even go. I mean.
But it's also, when children are inside, we should be able to see in. If we're locking the door for safety, there's no reason why that's exposed.
Right,
And
I don't want to
your
know what you're
concerns are
doing,
very valid.
that you got to cover your windows up.
I can see, though, that still being a security issue. If somebody does get in the building and they can see in the rooms.
But it's a way to address that, and that's what we need to be speaking to it, is that you can have it with something that's rolled up at all time, and then in case of it, that's part of the procedure, that you bring it down. If we're having have a situation, you bring it down and you pull all kids to the bearing wall so the children are not in view. But that's part of a plan, and that's what we're moving into, so that it does alleviate some of the concerns that teachers may have, that we understand that, but the other times we have children in the room. So that's a part of a plan that we all have that is a temporary. You can have it there, but it needs to be rolled up at all times and only brought down in case of a drill or an active emergency.
Okay.
Well, the other thing I would say is that it's the elementary schools. They always have a lot of things on their walls, whether it's word banks or days of the week, or they fill the walls with things, and you don't see that as much, I don't think, when you go into secondary. But the elementary teachers have things everywhere, and if they don't use those where those windows are, then that, they look at that as that space I need to display something, or display the children's work. Or
And that's true. That's
doing good. All right. Is there anything else, board members? Anything else? Thank you all for a lovely
Very good
report.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Weeks,
you.
for chiming in. All right, at this time, Dr. Beluski.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, colleagues. I'll welcome our next set of colleagues. This is our annual 2023-2024 North Little Rock High School and the COE Program of Study. And I will welcome Dr. White, our Executive Director of Curriculum Innovation and Design, Ms. Jordan, Dr. St. Louis, the whole secondary dream team to the table. again, as you recall, going through the high school program of study, updating new courses, which is what they're going to share, kind of a high-level overview as we begin the scheduling process for the next upcoming school year. Who we're going to turn this over to, Dr. White? Okay.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Paluski, members of the board. We're excited to be here to talk about new course requests. I'm Dr. Sharisa White, Executive Director of Curriculum, Innovation Design, and I'm joined by my colleagues, Ms. Amy Jordan, Executive Director of Secondary School Performance, Dr. Nadia St. Louis, North Little Rock High School Principal, and Ms. Carla Wisnat, Center of Excellence Principal.
Okay.
So the purpose of this presentation is to share with you the request for new courses. And I'm going to try to do a high-level overview, really pointing out some things that I think you might need to know about these course requests. So this first course, it is a pilot. So this year, I think there's about 60 schools who were selected for this course, and next year about 200 will be. At this time, no other schools in the district or the state can take this unless they are selected. So the COE was selected. This is an AP course, which means it offers weighted credit, and then students can sit for the AP exam and actually get college credit as well. Animal science. So this one is exciting because the Center of Excellence will now have a course offering under agricultural science and technology. So it's going to give them their third occupational area of study. As you know, they already have trade and industry, and they also have STEM courses. Cybersecurity. So this one is a computer science course. It will provide an elective for students. It'll provide a computer science elective for students. They can use it as their fourth math or their third science as well. And of course, you all know the 9th grade entering class of 2022 must have a computer science credit. So this will increase the opportunities for students. English 9, 10, 11, 12. So while you will see high school listed here, the COE will also be participating. So we're in conversations right now. But this course will be offered to our students who are scoring emerging and progressing on the ELPA 21. And they will receive an English credit for this course. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a teacher who teaches English, certified in English, but then also an ESOL specialist pushing in and co-teaching with that particular teacher. So this course here is an English language acquisition course, and it will offer a local credit to students. And once again, it's going to be for our students that are scoring, emerging, and progressing on the ELPA 21. So this is a course that will be offered. It's an English course, and as you see, most of our courses offer students a credit, and they're typically a full year, but this one is 0.5, half credit, so it is a semester course. So there are some more options for students in the area of English. So this is new, not to be confused with the concurrent credit courses that we already have at the high school offered through UAPTC. So these will be offered directly at that Career Institute. And with this, of course, there are requirements for entry. Most of them require a 19 in reading and writing and an 18 in math. However, the HVAC and the welding requires a 13 in reading. But once again, just increasing our course offerings for students. All right, Chinese 4. The high school already offers Chinese 1, 2, and 3. So once again, just increasing those opportunities for foreign language. And if you'll see that very last sentence, they will be able to sit for the seal of biliteracy. AP Computer Science, once again, so the official title is AP Computer Science Principles. Once again, just expanding those course offerings for students in the area of computer science, and it is an AP course, which means weighted credit as well, and the opportunity to take that exam, score a 3, 4, 5, and earn college credit. So this one, of course, the high school came to you. The next block of courses that I'll be speaking on, they came to you, I think a couple months ago, and they talked about their academies and the courses that they wanted to offer. So this one is Introduction to Education. It's in the pre-educator program of study. Of course, students will be able to earn their CTA, Certified Teaching Assistant, from this. Foundations of Healthcare. They can also, with this one, earn a CNA. And then with all of these that I'm talking about, students have the opportunity to earn industry-recognized certifications. Media Communications, once again, a CTE course. And this is a level 1 course, our base course for all the programs of studies that you see there at the bottom, and there's 3 of them. But once again, this is a CTE course as well. Data Science, Computer Science course, yet again, another opportunity for students. This will be a part of a computer science program of study for students, as you see there at the bottom, and students will have the opportunity to earn more industry-recognized certifications with this course and the suite of courses that will be offered.
Thank you.
And that's our presentation. Questions?
Ms. West?
I just want to go back to the Foundations of Healthcare, the cybersecurity one, and I think it was another one. That falls up under what would be considered the, falls up under the Career Academies component, right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Yep.
you have the Foundations of Healthcare, and which other ones that will fall up under the Career
Yep, right there.
Academy?
Let me go all the way back.
Okay, I
them.
see it here. The
Yeah,
health
so we put it at the bottom.
Health Information Technology, CNA Welding, HVAC.
Okay, you're on something different.
Huh?
You're under the career tech courses right now, so let me go back to those.
Oh, okay.
Right there. So that's what you're talking about there.
Yes, those are the ones that fall up under the.
So no, those won't. Those would just be
Okay.
concurrent course offerings for the students, but not necessarily in their particular program of studies that they already offer at the high school.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And those are on the campus.
So we do offer concurrent courses, at the high school with our instructors. And of course, to qualify, you have to have a master's in that discipline, or you have to have a master's plus 18 hours in that discipline. So we do have those going on, and I believe we have college algebra, we have college trig, and we have freshman comp. So we do have those going on, right? And so those would actually account for some of the courses that they need already for graduation, such as English and some of their math. So with these are concurrent credit offerings, but they will not count for any of those core courses that they need to graduate. But they will receive college credit.
Okay.
Ms. Temple?
I was just wondering about how do you plan ahead on staffing on some of these? Like if we're already teaching Chinese 1, 2, 3, does that person pick up Chinese 4? I mean, how does that?
So that's a great question. That's why the principals are here.
So for the high school,
we want to hear you.
Okay. For the high school, we are working with Ms. Jordan to evaluate our staffing for next year, with us transitioning to career academies and some additional courses that we're wanting to offer to our students. And so we're excited about what we're expanding, but that also does kind of change our staffing. And so a lot of that's going to, we'll have to look at that when we start doing our registration process and our students who are selecting their courses and how many students in different classes. So I've already kind of started a list of staffing that I feel like we're going to need, but again, it'll go down to what our students are registered for. And, we're hoping we'll get more students in our high school. And so, more students, more teachers. And so we're evaluating that as we're going along the process with our registration for our rising 9th through 12th grade.
Well, and that leads me to question 2. So if you just had 3 people sign up for a class, what would you do? I mean, does it require a minimum?
Yeah, we do decide for most of our classes. For the high school, we have around 20 to 25 students to make a class. Sometimes with some of our AP classes, it's a little bit more flexible, but we do have a number that we require to make that class. And we do have our showcase night next Thursday, and so we're hoping that this is an opportunity to promote our courses that we offer both on the high school and COE campus. We're doing this together. And so that will give teachers an opportunity to promote their programs, especially our CTE courses and our elective courses.
Thank you.
Dr. Reddish?
Great report. I'm just happy and excited that there is more opportunities, more classes for our students.
Ms. Walker?
looks great, thank you. Question, on the Chinese 4 for the grades served 11 and 12, are we offering anything for Spanish or sign language? Do we have that option at all for a 3rd level or 4th level? Or sign language would be an intro first class anyway, because we've never done that.
Okay, repeat that, please.
So on Chinese, we're offering a class on Chinese 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Do we have that option for Spanish?
Yes, we do.
And then is that a college class?
No.
Is it a concurrent class?
Nope. Nope.
So if I am a Spanish speaker and I want to be able to take a Spanish class in order to start my introduction of being a translator, we don't have that option.
So I'll tell you what we do have and what we're moving forward with, and that's through Dr. Reynolds with the virtual. So right now we're offering foreign language options through the Virtual Academy. And so absolutely, we'd be able to expand those opportunities for students if they need it through our Pearson Academy that we have.
And would that class also include sign language? I understand that
sign language. Yeah, sign language. We offered that last year, and then this year it didn't make.
That's what I understand. There were 4 children shy of being started that, and so I've had a lot of parents reach out to me particularly saying they want sign language. So that's why I keep reiterating sign language, because my parents are in my ears saying we want sign language. So just kind of put that out there, that I've got a few parents asking for that. So if that's an opportunity, I see you. Can we make that possible?
Come on, come on, come on. Come on up.
We had plenty of kids sign up for it. It's a concurrent class, and they didn't have the ACT scores to take it. It's not that we couldn't make the class. We couldn't do it as a concurrent option. If we could look at contracting for that particular person to come teach it just that class, a section, she might be willing to do that as just a high school class, a high school credit, because she likes teaching our kids, she likes being on our campus. We just couldn't support an actual concurrent credit class. That's why it didn't make.
Great job on clarifying that. Thank you. Okay, that's it.
Ms. McLean?
Can I go back to high school? I'd like to take some of these classes.
Like to audit some classes?
Yes, especially cybersecurity. I really like the sound of that one. This is awesome, and I know there's more. I know these are new ones that are coming, and then I hear about the ones that you already offer. And man, I didn't have that kind of opportunity when I was in high school, and this is. We need to be shouting this from the rooftops and make sure that parents in our community know the opportunities that their students can have at North Little Rock High School in the Center of Excellence. And I'm very excited. This looks very, very, very grand. Thank you.
And I just want to add one more commercial plug. Please come out next Thursday from 5:30 to 7:30. We will be having our high school and COE showcase. We really want to have the opportunity to display all of our course offerings. We want to have an opportunity for our students to engage in more advanced placement classes, and we want to increase that enrollment there too. And so we encourage our families to come, and our district leadership and all of our teachers and staff next Thursday night.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, is that for ninth graders to come too to
yes,
take a
so
look?
actually it's our rising ninth graders all the way to rising seniors. I mean, our current seniors can come, you know, they can see what we're offering, but it's mostly focusing on our students' registration for next year.
Like for the eighth graders?
Yes.
Okay. I have a granddaughter in eighth grade.
Questions? Okay, this is a statement. Thank you all for your report, but and also I enjoyed your Zoom you had, but it's a problem there because you only had 31 people and you got 1,000 students. You know, it's something that, and I spoke to Dr. Pulaski about that. What can we do to support you more as far as advertisement? Because you put it on web, you put it everywhere. It's like you need to give them a sheet of paper that little elementary kids take it home, because we had a parent to come before us that was questioning us about the academy, and your presentation was very good. But what can we do I'm asking you, I guess us, Dr. St. Louis, and you talking about me, Miss Williams? No, really be Dustin. Ms. Wisnet, you can tell us.
I would just suggest that they record said meetings, post said meetings on the district website as well as the high school's website, and then push it out there and say, please look and view this recording if you did not have the opportunity to go to our meetings.
I like it. Okay, and it's a good record. It's a very good statement. I don't know whether it was recorded or not, but maybe you can push it back out there because you were very honest, and I did speak to Dr. Paluski about that. The attendance.
That was our 5th meeting, so we had plenty of meetings. We had 2 at elementary schools. We had 1 at the middle school, 1 at the high school. We had a virtual meeting. We're also going to have a session at our showcase. I feel like we've done our due diligence to engage our families in the community. I do know there's a lot of, parent involvement falls off at the high school a lot, Parents feel like my child is responsible, but we've also sent out information in my weekly updates. And so some parents, they do feel like they're informed. We're informing our students of what's going on and what's transitioning. So I'm hoping through some outlets and all the things that we're doing, our parents are informed about the career academies and the transition. And I've also let parents know I keep an open door if they'd like to come speak with me about that transition. So I don't know if there's any more things that we can do to keep promoting it, because I think we were very creative and, we spent a lot of time really trying to engage our parents, and I appreciate those who came out to support us at the different nights that we had.
Well, I loved your presentation, but it's just like it kind of hurt my heart because I say, here she is from 1 hour, and you were through in 45 minutes. She only had 4 questions. That's how good you were.
And that was a big crowd for us,
Right.
Some of our other crowds are a little smaller.
And
so I
one last question, Ms. LeJay, I'm talking to you now as a counselor and the other counselor with you. How do we go about processing this as far as hiring new teachers? Would this be an addendum? I'm just asking you, how would this be clustered with the counselors you heard? We're getting new teachers if the board decides to do all of this. How do we deal with this? As far as I'm trying to solve the problem before we get to the problem. Ms. LeJay, you smart.
We have to start advertising for teachers much sooner than we do. We need to make decisions more quickly about whether we have to hire people or not, and we need to start advertising in March. That's actually late. We really should start advertising in February for what we think we're going to need, because what happens is we advertise for teachers so late that by the time we're interviewing them, the cream of the crop is gone. They're long gone. Okay. They've snapped up a job. It takes us so long to hire people that they're even the ones when we get them in June, it still takes so long to process their hiring that we lose them. They go somewhere else because somebody else commits to them much faster than we do. So that's my personal opinion. Ms. Cox?
I agree with that 100%, but I also think we need to find a way to hang on to what we've got. There's so much turnover in, our teachers. I mean, I've been here 6 years, and we lose teachers left and right, and I just think we need to find a way to raise a little bit of morale and give them some incentive to stay.
Now, I will say that we were in a much better position when I came on board this past summer. Our hiring was in a much better place than it was 1 year prior to that. The landscape of teaching is not the same as it was even 2 years ago, much less 10 or 15 or 20 when I began my career 27 years ago. So these are all valid concerns. And the market has flipped. It's now teachers get to choose where they want to go. It's not really the other way now. And so it is very competitive. We all are working diligently, especially as the building principals, to get those jobs posted as soon as they know. But we don't want to put a position out there if we don't know that we're going to have the students that are going to fill those spots. So, we can't staff for something that may not make, and that's not being good stewards of our money. So we have to find that balance, between trying to do the creative things in those. So like Ms. Temple, I think, said, if you're doing Chinese 4, can that be added to the teacher who's already teaching Chinese? And often the case is yes, but you have to be creative in how you're doing that.
And if you notice, that's exactly why my options were they were, because I had the staff in place right now
that can add that to their schedule versus trying to find somebody with that niche. So that's a big decision in when we make these decisions to add these classes. It's a big impact on who can and can't teach it. Do we have to hire out? Is this somebody we can bring on? So while we want to offer everything we can, logistics are logistics, and so we have to work around them.
Okay, so in listening to you, Mr. J, and I'm sure the superintendent is listening.
You might as well come on up here and sit down.
You're saying if you all may get the subjects, but the process that you all have been having is that it's hard to, once you maybe find a teacher and she says she's ready to come in, it takes the HR office too long to process them in, or I was trying to find out if you just nail that problem down to me, if there was a problem, or maybe I wasn't hearing it correctly.
Now, you know I have an opinion on everything, so it's better. It's gotten quicker, but it's, sometimes we just lose people because we can't tell them that we are going to offer them this job. And like I said, it's gotten better. Dr. St. Louis is really good about getting people interviewed quickly and paying attention to all that, but it just takes us so much longer than it seems to take other districts to actually physically offer somebody a job. I have no idea where the breakdown is or what the slow part is. I don't have a clue.
Okay.
But, I am concerned about some of these classes because I don't know who's going to teach them. And they're in the academy classes, and I know that that's probably way above my pay grade, but I'm the one that's going to plug it all in. So I'm just trying to figure out where we're going to physically put them in the building because we're out of space.
Okay, I'm just, Dr. Poloski, he does the day-to-day operation, and we as the board, he'll come back and give us the answer.
Sure. Well, let me just jump in here, and I think Ms. Jordan said it best, and Dr. St. Louis. It has to be driven by enrollment, and it has to be driven, they're in the process, that's why we're doing this, to get student enrollment. What are students interested in, so we can look at those numbers and then be able to determine staffing. Remember, the scheduling is a complete process. We've done a much better job of recruitment. If you remember, we've done multiple job fairs that we've never done before to try to get the best and brightest as fast as we can. Also, a side note, there's going to be a showcase this Thursday. Saturday, all of our staff is going to be at the high school. We're going to have a district-wide showcase. So you could be an elementary student and learn about what's happening at the high school and the course offerings. Those are good things. But it has to be driven by enrollment. And I think we've got to do a better job of getting schedules to teachers as well as students sooner than we have in the past. Right. And that's part of the scheduling process in which we're getting better at. But I don't think that we all agree that we're all there yet. And I think everybody is working diligently and very hard to be able to implement our academy structure, which offering some very dynamite, new, engaging courses. But as we'll start to monitor the enrollment process or selection process, that needs to drive what courses and then teachers and certification, all those things.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. Did any of you I want to ask a question. We have a lot of Hispanic students in our district. We don't offer that course? Spanish? Spanish 1, Spanish 2, Spanish 3, Spanish 4. Good shot. Because someone asked me that, and I felt that you did, but you actually, Mr. J.
We also, on Thursday night at our showcase, our school-based showcase, we have a group coming in called, I'm probably going to massacre this, and so my apologies, Mamas Unitas, and they are targeting our Hispanic families. The presentation is entirely in Spanish, and they are going to kind of start building some institutional awareness and some educational awareness among our Hispanic population, especially our new arrivals, about things just like what is a GPA and why is that important? What your child who may or may not be here in the country as a legal citizen, what options do they have for after high school? So that, because we find that's a problem with some of our students, is they're like, why should I do this? Because I can't go to college. So they're going to come on and work and talk to our 9 through 12 kids, and I'm hoping it's successful. And then I would like to do another one. We haven't talked about this yet, in April, that's more of a community-based, and Miss Marshall is the one who turned me on to this organization, and then we just kind of I reached out to them from there. So, but we're excited about that. So hopefully that'll kind of help with some of our Hispanic kids too and get them a better
Thank you.
understanding.
Our board members, Ms. West?
I just had a couple of thoughts that just came up. Now, go back, I heard somebody mention something about the district-wide showcase this Saturday. What is that?
Next Saturday?
28th.
No, that's for the school showcase.
That's on the Thursday.
That-
26th and the 28th. So we're doing a school-wide showcase, high school and COE.
Uh-huh.
It's on
Thursday.
our campus. The district
That's the
showcase
28th.
is also on our campus.
Okay.
But that is on a Saturday. And
Okay.
that is to promote, what we're doing here is an entire school district.
Okay, and then I know I've kind of made mention of this to Dr. Paluski too, but as far as just recruitment, as far as some of these college campuses, to make sure that we're pulling some of those, people that are getting those teaching degrees or education degrees, I think they're called now, education degrees, to look at this particular school district and to come over to North Little Rock.
And I feel like our HR department has done a great job with connecting us to our local colleges and universities. Also, Arch Ford has been very helpful with giving us some information about students who are recent graduates. So I do feel like there is information out there for us to connect with our college graduates, as well as them know what's going on our campus. So I do know we even had some teachers that we hired that just recently graduated that came to the career fair when we had it this summer, and we actually hired a couple of teachers in December who just finished school on our campus. So it is out there.
So we're planning. You have, I guess, hopes to do another career fair again. Part two.
Multiple, yes.
Okay,
This
career
spring,
fair, and then
at our high
also,
school campus.
are you gonna have another career academy before school ends by chance?
Talking about career academies for a while. I think we are to the point now where we are in the registration process.
Okay.
So our
Right.
9th graders will be selecting their career academies in February. So the last opportunity will be at the showcase night for our families to really understand academies. We'll even have a breakout session about academies there. We have all of our academies lined out. We have all of our courses, high school and COE, and what we offer. And so I feel like we've done our due diligence on letting our families know about our pathways. Our students in freshman seminar have been learning about pathways in high school and in COE, and so it's there. And they're gonna pick their pathway in February. And then they'll get that opportunity we'll start sitting down with our students and our parents for registration.
Okay, so parents, if you're listening, just make sure you come out to the school showcase on the 28th. 26th. Why do I keep saying the 28th? But the
And the
26th.
Thursday, the 26th.
There you go, Thursday, the
And
26th.
Saturday, the 28th.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
North Little Rock High School.
Yes. All right. That's all
Can I-
Natalie.
Are you through?
May I piggyback one question?
Yes.
What happens if a student doesn't pick their career academies? I mean, is that like a personal phone call and you say, hey, you need to pick something, or do you just pick it for them? How does that work?
So we will strongly encourage them to
Sure.
pick at the we'll do our first sweep around. We will strongly encourage those students who didn't get to select their pathway, and then we will do a nice selection for them.
Okay. I was just curious about that. Okay. And then if I'm an incoming student midway, how do we do that?
So that's going to be a new process for us, but we are going to look at the student's transcript, the classes that they're coming in with, and most aligned to what we offer at the high school.
Okay.
Ms. McLean?
Are we getting feedback from teachers that they're going to come back next year?
Yes, we just sent that out, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Are we doing that earlier than we used to do that? And is it reliable information, or how do we still have a lot of teachers
We called
that
in
say they're coming?
we called our intent form. We just actually just had sent that out. That information's coming in right now. If you plan on retiring, if you plan on staying with us, if you plan on changing careers. So we use that as one indicator, but it's just it's a gauge.
Indicator, right? It's just, yes. Okay.
I need to say thank you, Ms. Jordan, for being positive on the situation, that you can see improvement at the high school.
Absolutely.
What we need is positiveness, and you did the job, and I thank you, because principals, all of you all are so important, as well as counselors. I know you all have a very hectic job to do, but nothing is easy. But if you get paid, know your job, do your job. And I think that you all have been doing a superb job. And Miss Wyatt, I'm calling her Wyatt.
Miss
My
Wisnett.
favorite friend here. No, I know we thank you for coming back, you know, with you having illness in your family. But we, as a board, we appreciate you. We appreciate you. And Ms. LeJay, since you know your job, help the others do their job, okay? And Dr. St. Louis, thank you all. And reports will give it. The board members asked you all the questions they wanted to know. We as a board will be supporting you in all of your efforts, okay? And Dr. White, we thank you for all of you all for just doing what you're doing. Just keep on, know your job, do your job,
Thank
and
you,
I
Ms.
think
Williams.
so forth.
We can't wait to
Thank
see
you.
you next Thursday.
Text,
ma'am, we'll be there.
Thank you.
text me,
Okay.
text me.
Thank you,
Text me.
ladies. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Yeah. Okay. At this time, we have action. We will now take care of our action items. We need a motion that the superintendent is recommended to approve Ms. Angela Parson West as board
I don't know
parliamentarian.
where you put that A in Parson, but okay.
So, Madam President, I so move that we accept Dr. Polewski's recommendation of Ms. Person West to be the board parliamentarian.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None. So the motion is carried. The next item on here is the board docs policy management system. Is that Dr. Polewski?
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, members of our Board of Education, first, before I make that recommendation, I want to take this moment and recognize my assistant, my left hand, right hand, and then some, Miss Rhonda Colquitt, who literally has taken on this entire project of
By
board
herself.
docs. She has, and she's got us up and running. We had one glitch today from our start from July 1st, but she deserves all the credit for her hard work. Not only one, getting board docs set up, but the second thing is to get all of our policies migrated from the stagnant documents over into board docs. I want to thank LPPC and CPPC. They have all worked together. And so I'm recommending to the Board of Education the adoption of the board docs policy management system that includes a new numbering system of our policies.
Who got that?
Madam President,
Mhm.
I so move that we accept Dr. Polewski's recommendation of the board doc policy management system.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we accept the recommendation of Dr. Polewski. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None. The motion is carried. All right. The next item that we have will be the 2022 annual board members training hours.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the superintendent recommends the approval of the 2022 annual board training hours as presented in open session.
Motion, please.
Madam President, I move that we accept, approve the 2022 annual board training hours as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we approve the 2022 annual board members training hours. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None. The motion is carried. Next, we will have the North Rock High School Community Service Learning New Partnership approval.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the superintendent recommends the approval of North Little Rock High School Service Learning Partner, in this case Santa Susie, as presented in the application in open session.
Madam Chair, I so move that we accept the Santa Susie proposal. Yes, I'm sorry, I went blank. The North Little Rock Service Learning Partner application.
Second. Okay, then it's been moved and properly seconded we accept the North Rock High School Community Service Learning New Partner for approval. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None. The motion is carried.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, action item 12.5, employment of personnel. The superintendent recommends the employment of personnel as discussed in executive closed session.
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the employment of personnel recommendation by Dr. Beliski.
Second. It's been moved and properly seconded we accept the employment of personnel recommended by the superintendent. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None. The motion is carried.
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the disposition of minutes of December 15th and January 5th.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded we accept the disposition of minutes that were on November 15th and January 5th. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. The motion is carried. Consent agendas, Superintendent.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the superintendent recommends the following consent agenda items. Action item 13.1, bank reconciliation. 13.2, net legal balance worksheet. 13.3, monthly financial reports. 13.4, business office items. 13.5, payment of regular bills.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda that consists of bank reconciliation, net legal balance worksheet, monthly financial reports, business office items, and payment of regular bills.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded we accept 13.1 through 13.6. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you. At this time, we will have acknowledgments in the reports that were given Friday that is always sent out by Ms. Colquitt on Fridays. Whether you would like to address an administrator or to thank them for their work, or you would like to see more of what you've seen on those Friday reports, letting them know that we are reading what they have put out. And so at this time, Ms. McLean.
Okay, let's start with Miss Carson West.
I just want to just say to our leadership that, you know, I do appreciate each and every one of you. I want to say to our instructors, you know, from pre-K on up to 12th, that I appreciate you, all of you. And sometimes I know that it's a thankless job being in the classroom, but just remember, each person that comes through that door, you touch their mind some sort of way, and they will remember you for the rest of their lives. And even our office staff, when you have a smile on your face, when anybody walks into that building, you all are appreciated. Just by doing school luncheons, the cafeteria workers have been just pleasant and, you know, just having a smile on their face. So I just want to say, if you work in the North Little Rock School District, affiliated with the North Little Rock School District, a student at the North Little Rock School District, or a parent of the North Little Rock School District, I appreciate you.
Ms. Temple.
Well, I can't top that. I just agree with her completely.
Dr. Redis.
North Little Rock School District rocks. We've come a long way. Thank you to everybody for all that you do, all that you're doing, and all that I already know that you will do.
All right. Ms. Welcome.
I reiterate what Dr. Redis and Angela had said.
Okay. Ms. McLean, I'm back to you now.
I was going to try and come up with some future meetings and events for us. But the things that y'all said are right on point. This is a wonderful district. We have wonderful employees, and we want to keep them. And we thank everyone that is employed by this district. And we do rock.
Oh, and Ms. Colquitt, we love Ms. Colquitt because she does such a phenomenal job, and she listens to all our complaints, and we just probably bring a lot to her but that's okay. We love you and appreciate you. And you know Dr. Paluska too.
Okay, and thank you all. What I would like to say, thank you, Ms. Lightfoot and Ms. Jordan, for your books you put out every weekend. And especially to Dr. Hooper, she's put out the Game Changer. And I wrote all of these notes down, and what she did put on that packet I really love. She told us about our new Arkansas education director, Mr. Jacob Olivia, and gave a background on him. And then she told us that our governor, Sarah B. Huckabee, she had given us 90 days about the LEARN program, and that she's working on that. And any information that you would like to know, any teacher, any instructor, you can go to the Game Changer that Miss Dr. Hooper has put out to let you teachers know who you can contact, legislators, everybody, and when the meetings are. And again, I want to thank all of you, all of the directors. I say directors, administrators, everybody for phenomenal job that you're doing to make North Little Rock shine. And thank Dr. Pelusi for being our superintendent. All right. And we have announcements. Special board meeting will be February the 2nd, that's workshop. And our special regular board meeting will be February the 16th. And then we had some elementary school activities that are coming up, secondary. It was already put out that she just announced it. Were there other announcements, Ms. Lightfoot, elementary school, Ms. Jordan?
Just again, Madam President, members of our board, just to reiterate again, the high school showcase, obviously that's next Thursday, but for a district, it will be the first time we've ever done a district school showcase. To showcase all of our schools will be in, is it K Tower that we're going to be in? Near the Performance Hall that will be set up Saturday morning. Please come and join us. You'll have an opportunity to interact with all of our school leaders and all of our department heads about what's great about North Little Rock, who we serve, how we serve, and how we do it. And this tonight, Ms. Williams, 5.2 is a new item. I want to draw the public's attention to that. This has been an item the board has asked us about of what are the events that are going on in all of our schools from now till the end of the school year. We'll provide this at every board meeting so that the community can have a look to be able to participate at a variety of events at a variety of our schools.
Very good. Well, then a statement after that, where's the place specifically? Tell them about our showcase so they can hear that again.
Sure. The district-wide showcase will be next Saturday. That will be at the high school near the Performing Arts. You'll come in off the Main Street park right there at the student parking and be able to walk into the Performing Arts, and we'll be down on the first floor and go all the way into the cafeteria. So we welcome all of our parents and all of our future parents and all of our future students as we recruit to come to the North Little Rock School District.
Okay.
January 28th.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I need a motion for adjournment.
Madam President, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we adjourn. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.